welcome to Her Comeback, Transforming Your Life After 50. I'm your host, Michelle Thompson. If you've ever whispered to yourself, there has to be more than this, you are in the right place. This show is for women over 50 who have hit their breaking point and are finally ready to stop going at it alone. You've tried the self-help books, the vision boards, the positive thinking, but you're still stuck. And here's what I know. You're not broken. You just need the right support. And that's exactly what you're going to find here. Each week, I'll sit down with incredible women who have transformed their lives. You'll hear their real stories, the messy middle, the breakthrough moments, the practical steps that they took to create the lives that they love. Because your lowest moment, it can be your launching pad. So if you're done settling and ready for your comeback, stay with me. Let's discover how other women have made it happen and how you can too. Are you ready? This is Her Comeback. Good day, everyone. Welcome to Her Comeback. I am so happy to have Stephanie with us today. Stephanie, welcome to the show.
Hi, thank you so much for having me. I'm excited.
Yes, me too. Me too. Tell our audience a little bit about yourself.
Well, my name is Stephanie Al Arnasi. I'm the owner and creator of Maja Head Spa. Maja is actually my four kids' initials, so I'm a mom of four. Mark, Abraham, Joseph, and Adriana. They are all young adults. So we're entering the empty nest phase of life, which has been exciting. Married to my husband, Abe. It'll be 29 years this month. I was a Navy
Wonderful.
brat growing up, so I've been all over the place. But at the age of 11, we settled in Port Charlotte, Florida. And so basically, since then, this has been my home since 1986. I'm a massage therapist and an esthetician as well. That's what I've done for the last 12 years.
Oh, that's wonderful. Native Floridian. Awesome.
It's weird to say that because I lived in so many places that were so opposite of Florida. But yeah, and all my kids are native Floridians too, which is cool.
Awesome. I am just delighted to have you on the show. I met you at a networking event and heard your story, and I was just like, oh, I want to have her on the podcast.
Aw,
So thank you for
thank
joining
you.
us today. So
Absolutely.
I'll just jump right into some of the questions that I have for you.
Sure.
So you've built a thriving multi-location spa
Mhm.
while navigating many seasons of life. So how have you learned to honor where you are, even in times when things maybe didn't look like success from the outside? Can you describe a little bit about that journey?
You know, the event you and I met at, I was talking about the power of perspective, and perspective throughout my life has been so important. I just turned 50 in February. And so when I started Maja, it was actually the end of my youngest senior year of high school. And from shortly before COVID until his graduation, there had been a lot of things put in front of us that kind of threw us off course a little bit. Obviously, COVID was crazy for everybody. But my mother-in-law was also sick with cancer, and she was amazing and so brilliantly strong. And I was one of a few people that was making the trip to Moffitt all of the time with her. And she had this remarkable group of friends. And I don't know, there was something about that experience with her. She was my hero. And watching what she did and how gracefully she handled it, it changed something inside of me. And when she passed away, and the youngest was, like I said, getting ready to graduate, we'd also been traveling quite a bit with my daughter, who's the third of the four. She was getting recruited for soccer in college. And I don't know, all these things just were going on. And I was in a moment in life where I felt like I've watched all these strong people. I've seen these people do these amazing things. I think it's time for me to figure something out. And again, you've watched these remarkable stories of people going up and down and up and down, and they all had such resilience and strength. And I realized that, I don't know, from about the age of 21, something within me was holding me back. I
Mm.
think my life became everybody else's. Married at 21, was supporting my husband's business. He's always been an entrepreneur, and then started having our children. And when you're the one that's cheering everybody on, and you're the one helping everybody and helping them go through hard challenges in life, you can't help but learn from those things, right? And so all of these different stories, all of these people were so near and dear to me, and they were going through major things. So I think after experiencing those things on the sidelines, it just made me realize, like, I can do anything. And don't let 50, 49, whatever it is, be a reason to stop. And don't be afraid to try things. When you're watching a young girl like my daughter trying to get out in the world through her recruiting process for college soccer, and then you're simultaneously helping her grandmother navigate a very scary part of life. And then you're kind of in between the two, just like, oh my gosh, I haven't really done anything of significance. And here these two are doing all these remarkable things. What am I going to leave behind? What's my legacy going to be? How have I made an impact on the world? Those things just kept floating around. So you ask, like, navigating the ups and downs of all of this. I think what I had experienced going into this gave me so much perspective that the worst thing you can do is not take a risk. The worst thing you can do is let fear get in the way and stop you.
Was there something specific that you learned about yourself during these times? Was there anything that, like, oh, I found this out about me?
Yeah, I've learned that I let fear hold me back from a lot. And I
Mm,
learned that I let my fear of letting others down hold me back. I
mm,
always felt like making everybody happy was always the most important thing.
mhm,
And I think a lot of women do that. I think a lot of us that reach this age in life, I don't know that we were necessarily programmed for it, but there is a certain piece of us, as moms in particular, you love so deeply and you love so much and you want the people in your life to be so well taken care of. You end up self sacrificing at times. And
yes.
for the most wonderful reasons, it's never, you're not really aware that's what's happening, right? It's
Right.
just what you do. And so I don't know if it was always the healthiest thing to be doing. And I do believe part of me realized that if I don't figure out something that I can throw my energy into that is going to help others and maybe stop smothering my family as
Mhm.
much. I don't really think that's what I was doing, but there might be their perspective a little bit at times. But I went into massage and aesthetics because I loved making people feel good. It didn't feel like work to me. Obviously, every job has its up and downs, but I genuinely loved. I'll never forget, I had a travel nurse that came in once and she walked in like this.
Mhm.
And I was new to massage and I was like, "Oh my gosh, what happened? Are you okay?" She's like, "Oh, well, I had a contract and I've had to sleep on a hotel bed for the last 4 months and I just can't get it to go away." And then worked on her for a little bit. It wasn't anything outrageous. And then just to see everything level out, and she turned around and looked at me with tears in her eyes. And
Oh,
those little types of moments where you
awesome.
can give people. So
Yeah.
I knew for me that helping people had to be a part of what I was doing with my life. Never cut out for the medical field. That would have been hard for me. I don't know why, because all the gross things you deal with as a parent, it certainly wasn't the gory part of it that would have bothered me. I don't know what it was exactly, but this I knew I would really love doing. So,
You talk about letting fear hold you back, and I
yes.
can absolutely identify with that.
Uh,
There's so many times in my life where fear held me back. For you, as you had the courage to do the things that you've done and the courage to walk through the fear, where did the courage come from? What do you think? Where
Um,
did it come from?
I think, like I said, watching others
Mm-hmm.
take on, just watching their bravery
Mm,
and seeing that there was no reason not to be. And
yes.
there was just something within me, like a switch went off. I was also working with a friend who'd opened a boutique, and she is a pediatrician. And I was working with her for about 3 years. And during that time, I was so amazed. Like, she was a mom of three when she went through medical school. And I was like, oh my gosh, how does somebody
Wow.
do something like? And then she
Right.
was my children's pediatrician. And as a pediatrician, oh man, she still is amazing. But she decided to segue into this other industry and create something that had been a passion of hers. And she's 5 years older than me, I think. And watching her do that was inspirational. Although for me, being in that atmosphere wasn't what made me tick. I love clothes, but being at the front of it, I knew it was time. I've always been very creative in a lot of different ways. And it's hard to be creative just massaging people. I developed scalp psoriasis and it was pretty severe and it was making me absolutely crazy, which led to me discovering a head spa for relief. I was looking for alternatives to medications. And so when I went to the head spa and had my first experience with it, I left thinking that was really cool, but I think there might be a couple other things I could do with it that would make it a little different. And realizing that there was a space and a place that maybe I'd been waiting for my whole life where I could maybe put my little stamp on it. And as that time of trying to get the courage up to do it was happening, there just were all these little tiny things that kept occurring. And it was finally ignoring the fear and listening to my gut. And there was just a series of little things. And every time I did something, I have this mug that says, let faith over fear, that quote. Every single day I would drink out of it. In fact, it was one of two things that was my inspiration for the color of the first suite that I did. But I really started listening to the universe, paying attention to the signs that were out there. I think for a long time I had turned all of that off and just made everybody else the priority. So I shifted. Now the priority is Maja and the people that come in and wanting them to feel that when they walk into the space, they're being nurtured, they're being loved. And I think that was part of it too. As I said before, COVID did so many weird things. And a lot of what happened with it was the inability to hug our loved ones far away. And so much of what we were doing became Zooms. And we were,
Yes.
we sadly were on a funeral for a Zoom because they were out of the country when they lost a loved one. Things like that disconnect. And I also have had clients in the past when I was a massage therapist who had suffered from strokes and things like that. And touch, it wasn't so much what you were doing and where you were, it was just that human touch. It's so necessary. And we're in an aging community. There's a lot of widows. There are of both sexes. There's just something about going somewhere and feeling like somebody cares. And I
Yes.
knew that we could create something where you need to have a balance of caring, but not too much.
Mhm.
Somewhere where people feel comfortable trying a new thing because Head Spa isn't very well known. I just kept figuring it out as I was going along. And there was just, again, all these little signs as it was building, even once the doors finally opened. It happened much quicker than I expected. The growth was not something I predicted by any means. And I just kept like, okay, well, I made enough this week. I can go buy another sink and I can write a check for a deposit on another room. And yeah, it was just letting the universe be heard.
Oh, that's awesome. Listen,
Yeah,
like you said, just paying attention to the signs and then being open to follow them and do
exactly.
those things that cross your path. I love that. I also love when you were talking about trusting your gut. Has there ever been a time where others maybe thought otherwise and or even logic said, "Oh, don't
Oh,
do that."
sure.
Describe a time like that.
There's a lot of people just back when I first went to massage school. Why would you want to touch people all day? Why would, there, it definitely takes a certain type of person to be in the health and wellness industry, whatever vein that is. And in particular, doing something new that's not as well known. There were all kinds of questions out there. And I was thankful for that because
Mhm.
when people were questioning whether or not something should be done, I feel like it forced me to think a little bit harder and really come to grips, or not come to grips, but see how much it meant to me. It really solidified the fact that I believed in the need. I really believed that there was a space in wellness, that this could be something that would really be popular and well received, and honestly just needed. I think a lot of people just needed it.
Oh, that's great. One of the things that I heard you speak about in your talk was being able to keep things light
Mhm.
and having fun. As we all know, people that have a business or even just with any job in general,
Right.
things can get intense,
Oh,
stressed
absolutely.
out. So, what's your trick to keeping joy, humor, playfulness? How do you keep that in the
There's
intense
definitely
moments?
times that's hard. I will be completely honest, especially when you're navigating something new. There is so much unfamiliarity. There's nothing to really look at to compare it to get ideas or,
Mhm.
but I will say that you have your core people in your life. When you're having a bad day, as long as they can love you enough that you can cry on their shoulder. I know I've said things at times that were ludicrous. Oh my God, what am I doing? Maybe I shouldn't be doing this. And what's been great is when it's people you trust that are close to you, they let you do that, you can get it off your chest, and then maybe you revisit it later in the day and they're like, "Didn't you just say?" And I was like, "Yeah, I didn't." It was sometimes there's just moments where
Mhm.
it's really hard. And so I thankfully am surrounded by people that have great senses of humor. I've always been a practical joker. Our whole house is full of pranksters and practical jokers. I also have this magnificent group of girls that make up the Maja team, and we try to have as much fun as we can. It's a unique environment because you go into these suites, you're on your own, but doing the content, like recently we did some fun content for Halloween and we were in sheets and just being playful and having a good time. I try to get them out of the space at times when I can, have them here at the house and have an evening where we might do some training, but it's also lighthearted. My husband will cook for them and just make it a good time so it's not always just work, work, work and being serious. I
Mhm.
love to be able to try to work some humor into our marketing a little bit if I can. So that's something that we're actually currently working on for the marketing that we'll be rolling out for Thanksgiving and Christmas. I think just being as lighthearted as you can be, laughing at yourself. Oh my
Mhm.
God, like some of the stupid things I have done the past year, it's insane. Like just
Mhm.
being in a hurry, dropping things, breaking things, running into things. If there was a camera on me in this past year, like the bloopers reel would be unlike anything you've ever seen.
Yeah, I love that you mentioned that about being able to laugh at yourself because
Yeah.
that's something that I am learning and I try to do. But I think as women, many times we're at that fork in the road. Okay, are we going to laugh at ourselves and go light with it, or are we going to go into this shaming? Oh my God, I can't believe you did that.
Yeah, and
So it
listen,
has.
there's been a combo of both where I'm laughing and crying at the same time and just oh my gosh, what do I do now? But then at the end of the day, you have to take again perspective and say, okay, this I'm not curing cancer. I'm
Mm,
doing something that hopefully people will love once they experience it. The beauty of doing this business is it's really hard to mess it up. You're not going to make everybody happy all the time. We were in the restaurant business for 20 years, so you really deal a lot with that in that line of work. Just being realistic and understanding that's just par for course when it comes to business. And
mhm.
I think sometimes it's hard because Maja is my heart and soul. It's named after my family for crying out loud. And
Yes.
if somebody has some harsh things to say, it can be like a punch to the gut. But I have to give I okay, when my kids were growing up and playing sports, I managed a lot of their teams and we always had a rule that there was a 24-hour rule. You couldn't
Yes.
approach the coach to complain. I try to do that with myself. I will beat myself up really hard and I will think something through and I try not to react in the moment. I try to give myself 24 hours to digest it and really see how I feel from the start of whatever incident occurred to the end of those 24 hours. And it's pretty remarkable how your feelings can change. But also having that group of people in your corner to bounce things off of. You have one, like my husband, who is not going to have that emotional attachment like most men don't. Most men
Right.
definitely look at things from a different way. And then I have a couple girlfriends, like one in particular, who has just the greatest sense of humor, and she'll make me laugh at myself and help me look at it a different way. And then another one who is like a combo of the two and kind
Hmm.
of like right in the middle. You know what I mean? And so
Right.
again, having that group of people, and sometimes it's a stranger. There are
Mhm.
times that I've worked on a client, and when they're done, I'm like, hey, listen, I'll bounce an idea off of them just because whatever type of energy I felt from them while we were in the space, there's something I'm thinking about trying. Do you think that would be well received? And
Mhm.
amazing sometimes what strangers have to say and getting their feedback, how valuable that can be as well. Yeah.
Yeah, that's great. I love that feedback from different people, bringing in just exactly what you said, that power of perspective, because people
Just
will
being
see
open
it
minded
differently.
too. I think a lot of times what happens in business, I did learn this in the beginning. I had such like tunnel vision. I knew this, right? Well, now
Hmm.
I've gotten all the way out to here. I've realized that trying to stay, I've not really ever been that much of a perfectionist, but I started to become a little bit of one with this, and it doesn't work. You really need to just accept. the unexpected.
Right.
You just never know. We've had rooms flood. Like there have just been crazy things that happen in this line of work. And that's just what it is. One day it will be a great book.
Yes, absolutely. And I think it's when things go sideways, it's just that you learn from it, right? And
Yeah.
how much we learn in the moments like, okay, this was not on my plan and this is really not what I wanted, but I can take these things away from it that I can
Yeah.
know
And
about next time.
also recognizing too that you're not perfect
Yes.
and being okay with accepting that and making apologies if necessary too. I've certainly made mistakes along the way, and there are times I've said things in a way I wish I hadn't.
Mhm.
And whether not typically with staff, but more the other people that are around you just have to be able to say, I'm so sorry. I was exhausted. I was up all night, whatever. There's just all these goofy little things that come along with it, and just being real. I
Yeah.
think that's a big one.
Definitely. So I wanted to take a moment because we jumped in and talked about your business, the Head Spa, but just for our listeners who may not know at all what a Head Spa is. So, because I know it was new to me when I first heard it, could you maybe just explain that a little bit about what is the
Sure. It's funny.
experience?
Last night I was talking to my husband about it because I had a client call, and it was a son. He sounded like he was in his 20s, and he was definitely a Southern dude and a tough guy. You could just hear it in his voice. And he was asking what it was. He thought he was calling a place that just did massage. And so I was trying to explain it. And it was funny because it was really a situation where you're just giving it. He probably has never even had a massage in his life. You know what I mean? So I got off the phone with him and I asked my husband, I said, I really need to work on my elevator speech on the best way to describe this. And it's so hard to describe because everybody feels it in a different way. But I'll give you the best that I've come up with so far. So
Okay.
this is something that they've been doing in Asia for centuries. Obviously, not with these sinks that we have now, but in their own way. Scalp health and hair health has been very important in those cultures. So a lot of us experience buildup on our head. We
Mhm.
go for facials. In fact, facials used to be a medical service that you would
Oh,
have done back in the day. It wasn't looked at as self-care. It was looked at as something we needed to do, keeping our skin clean and exfoliated and moisturized and all those things. But anyways, so head spa is what happens. You come into the room, you lay down on a massage table. Your head is laying on a headrest inside a sink. The sink has a rainbow shaped sprinkler. That's we call it the waterfall or the halo, but it's like an inverted our yard sprinklers that go like this and sprinkle out. This one
great.
sprinkles down. So once you're laying on the table, we start off by doing some massage. We use sweet almond oil, and if you're allergic, we use jojoba oil if you have a nut allergy. But we do a great massage of the décolleté, up the neck and the face, into the head, get you really nice and relaxed. Then we use warm oil to oil the scalp and start breaking up anything that is there on the scalp. We do a double cleanse. A facial is included with it, but it's not a traditional facial in the way that you would think of it. It's more to be able to massage the face. If you think of the upper part of the body, we're all like this all the time from driving and
Yes.
on our. So it's an hour to an hour and a half of everything being focused on here. And then there's also an arm and hand massage, neck and shoulder massage, but the oil gets infused into the water. So when we move the halo back and forth, that hot water infused with the oil really helps it penetrate into the scalp, which just has long lasting benefits that are so great for us. And then we finish it with more head massage. We have all these little tools. So there's just a lot of really great stuff going on. What's interesting is everybody experiences it in the same way. I said that before. One of my favorite clients of all time, she was one of my guinea pigs. And for whatever reason, every time it would hit her right here, she would start laughing and couldn't
Oh.
stop. I haven't had anybody else like that, but all three times she's come in, it does it to her every single time. I've had people cry just because when your head is tight,
Mhm.
and you're hitting parts of the face and the jaw, and when you're getting that much concentrated time getting that tension relieved, man, it really does change a lot. People generally leave feeling lighter. I've heard people say it feels like their head is breathing. It's just interesting.
Yeah.
It's like I said, it's hard to explain the sensations until you're there, but there's just so many wonderful things that go on with it. And a lot of people too aren't always comfortable going for a full body massage. So what's lovely about this is you're laying on the table, you're getting a lot of deep relaxation, but without having to get undressed and flipping back and forth on a table and all those kinds of things. So it's
Yeah.
just
Oh my
very
gosh.
special.
I love it. And I cannot wait to do mine. After we
I
finish this
know.
up, I'm booking it. And I'm just
Yay.
like, it's just as you were describing it. Oh my God, I can't wait to do this.
Oh, it's just phenomenal. And there's
Oh,
so many things, like every time you do it, it's different. You'll
yeah.
never have the same head spot twice.
Oh, wow. That's so exciting.
Yeah.
So, what is the best way for someone to get in touch with you for your services, or if they just want to get in touch with you?
Yeah, so our website's majaheadspa.com. Super easy. You go on there and you can read the descriptions about all of the different services that we offer. And then at the top, it has a link. We have 3 locations right now. We're in Port Charlotte, Sarasota, and Fort Myers. So at the top, you press any one of those and it takes you right to the booking app. And then my phone number, 941-544-2158. It's straight to me, and you can text or call and I can book your appointments for you as well.
Oh, wonderful.
Yeah.
Stephanie, it has just been a joy getting to talk to you. I love
Aw,
your authenticity and I love the work that you're doing. So, thank you
thank
so much
you.
for joining me today.
I
I,
appreciate it. Thank you.
I wish you all the best and continued success.
Fingers crossed. We're coming into season, so we'll see how this is our first like full-blown actual season with the 3 locations. So we'll see how it goes. It's
Oh,
exciting.
best of luck. Yes, it is
Thank
very
you.
exciting. Thank you.
Thank you so much for spending time with me today. I am truly grateful that you chose to listen in, and I hope that this conversation sparks something meaningful for you. Please take a moment to subscribe, leave a review. It helps other women to find us who need to hear these stories too. And if you know someone who is ready for their own comeback, share this episode with them. I'd love to connect with you beyond the podcast. Visit me at hercomebackpodcast.com. That's hercomebackpodcast.com to learn more about how we can work together. I have a gift for you. Get your free copy today of 5 powerful shifts to reclaim your life. Remember, your comeback story is waiting to be written. The question isn't, can I transform my life? The question is, are you ready? Let's go. I cross my